Chapter 18. She's his girl now. Anna Veronica is on a workshop with the shamaniacs. Their teacher starts drumming and she sets her intent. I want to go to the stone circle and journey through the portal of light. She then asks for her power animal to come with her and guide her. The eyes of an owl show up in her imagination, but then all of a sudden Anna Veronica finds herself on the back of a dragon. She almost melds with it as it spreads its giant wings and flies at speed over the landscape until it lands in the middle of the stone circle. The dragon tells her that she is on her own now, and Anna Veronica asks him if there is anything she can do for him. He opens his mouth and surrounds her with flames. She is not afraid. Before he lifts off from the ground, he says to her, "Be the fire." Anna Veronica walks towards the light that comes from inside the dolmen. On the other side she can see Virgin Mary, Odin, Thor, Jesus, Pele, and one of the girls from the shamaniac's workshop. She is one of her ancestors. Anna Veronica is a little uncertain how to go forward, and they speak to her in a gentle whisper. "Come, it's not so difficult. Just come over." She carefully takes the next steps and reaches out her hands, hoping they will take them and lead her through, but they do not. Instead they speak to her again. "Just come over. It is easy." Then she walks through the light into the dolmen, to the masters of light. They all embrace her one by one. "You're a good girl." Odin embraces her with his strong arms and gives her a big warm hug. "You're the caretaker." Virgin Mary talks to her with a soft, gentle voice. "You're the drummer." Thor looks at her with a strong and powerful expression. "Be the transformation." It is Pele with her glowing eyes. "Be humble." Jesus kneels and bends his head humbly before her. It is time to say farewell, and on the other side of the dolmen, Anna Veronica meets Turtle, who is going to take her back. She sits on his shell, but quickly realizes that he is in no hurry, and she can only surrender to that. Just before the drumming stops, Anna Veronica is back in the room, and she asks Turtle what she can do for him. He says, "Love every living being." The time in the summer house is coming to an end, and Anna Veronica is packing her things and getting ready to move. The astrological forecast says Mercury is in retrograde, and later when thinking back, she is sure it must have been in crazy grade. Anna Veronica has found an amazingly cheap self-service storage room, but when she goes there with the car full of stuff, she cannot get into the building. The password does not work, and there is no one to help. She tries to call the number on the door, but no one answers. God also makes sure she must answer a call of nature so badly that she cannot wait any longer, and jumps in the car to find a hiding place far away from any houses or buildings. Now what? She goes back to the summer house and picks out a lot of her clothes and other things that she takes to the nearest thrift shop. In some ways, it's a relief. Most of it has been in storage for a very long time anyway. She says goodbye to her last piece of furniture, the childhood drawer from Norway. After the summer house, Anna Veronica goes to stay in some of her friends' house for a week to look after their pets. She wants to stay in Denmark, at least for the summer. Whenever she thinks about going back to Norway, Her inner voice keeps telling her to stay in Denmark. It's always the same answer. Stay in Denmark. It's Odin. His coughs have become worse lately, and he has had 2 seizures where his breathing was severely affected. He's with Alexander again, who is on summer vacation. Anna Veronica brings her stuff to her friend's place, where she picks out even more things and takes them to another thrift shop. She is letting go of more and more of her earthly belongings. It makes no sense to store it any longer. It's expensive, exhausting, and irritating. Some things are harder to let go of than others, and some of it she wants to keep. These are mostly pictures and gifts from her children, family, and friends. For the next 2 weeks, Anna Veronica ends up moving 6 times, mostly staying with friends. Everyone is happy to see her, so God must be trying to teach her that maybe she is lovable after all. Maybe God just knows that she is a slow learner. A good friend of Anna Veronica is going through a nightmarish divorce. Mercury is going absolutely bananas here. She tries to be of some support, but the stress of moving and the numbers on her bank account are getting to her. A friend is going away for the summer with her children, and she asks her if Anna Veronica wants to stay in her house while she is away. She can also store what is left of her goods in their garage. Things are working out after all, and she is grateful for all the help she is getting. In the midst of all this, she ends up sleeping in the car for one night. She is totally exhausted from all the moving and packing stuff in and out of the car, not to mention dragging her suitcase around. She sleeps like a baby on the pulled-down front seat and wakes up early next morning by the first sun rays kissing her cheeks. Anna Veronica goes to a gas station to get a cup of coffee and something to eat. Afterwards, she heads to the beach, where she parks the car and goes down to the water to make a quick phone call. When she is back, someone has broken into the car. The thieves have smashed one of the side windows and taken her purse. She had forgotten it on the front seat, something she never does. Now it's gone and all that was in it. She is in Denmark with a Norwegian car that needs to go to a garage and has no means of paying. She spends the whole day at her ex-husband's house, looking after Odin and dealing with the situation. Later in the afternoon, Anna Veronica ends up waiting an hour and a half at a dusty parking spot for her friend to pick her up. This makes her day complete. Life is grand. When Anna Veronica has taken her friend and her children to the airport, she collapses on the sofa in the living room, where she spends the first week in her pajamas, wrapped in a blanket. She feels as if she's almost in a state of shock. Whether it is fate or part of a bigger plan, she does not know, but she begins to watch YouTube videos about near-death experiences. There are lots of them out there, stories of people who have died and gone to the other side and who came back to share their experiences. Some talk about going through a life review, giving them insight into how they make people feel. Some have met their loved ones, some Jesus, some God. People talk about their encounter with an unconditional, loving force of light and how they experience being loved like they have never been loved before. People talk about an unconditional, loving force who loves them for being exactly who they are. For a week, Anna Veronica watches video after video and listens to the messages that people come back with. They are messages of love, reassuring and comforting. Some of them talk about going through hard times after coming back from this life-changing experience, feeling a lot like strangers here on earth. And for some, it has taken years before they were ready to share their story, mostly because they were afraid that people around them would judge them. Anna Veronica is so grateful to those who have had the courage to follow their hearts and tell their stories anyway. She knows this happens when the calling of the soul becomes stronger than one's fears. While Anna Veronica is watching this, she is crying. She is so exhausted and she cannot stop it. She just cries it all out. The uncertainty, the moving, the stress, the exhaustion, their dog, her dad, no home, her stuff, the financial stress, not being there for her children, and then there is Jacob, of course, but she doesn't even think about him that much anymore. A couple of times they have wanted to meet up, but he had to cancel last minute due to what must be Mercury in freaking madness grade in his own life. In the coming days, Anna Veronica is shedding layer after layer, just crying and crying, and the more she releases, the more she begins to feel a loving presence around her and within her. At some point, she begins to feel that there is someone in the room with her, and then she knows. It's Jesus. He is there. Jesus is there, in the room with her. Anna Veronica closes her eyes, and in her imagination she can see him. He is very real and very powerful. His face kind and gentle, and his arms wide open, inviting her to come to him. Anna Veronica walks into his arms, and he holds her like a little child who needs comforting and protection. She is overwhelmed with an intense feeling of love, and it fills her heart to the brim. She cannot stop crying. It's such a wonderful state to be in. He wants to help and protect her, and he loves her for being exactly who she is. So much of her life, Anna Veronica has been strong and independent and managed everything on her own. Now Jesus is there with all his love, and she can always ask him for help. Just as things were becoming overwhelming, he came to her. Anna Veronica is beyond grateful, and she prays. I leave it all to you now, Jesus. I put my life in your hands. I no longer want to worry about my finances. I no longer want to worry about not having a home. I want to feel loved and cared for as one of God's children. I surrender my life to you, Jesus. I love you. As the summer goes by, Anna Veronica cannot forget. She wants to stay in that energy of love, no matter what her circumstances are. And as she goes about her days, she asks Jesus how he wants her to feel in that moment. The answer is always the same. He wants her to feel good about herself and to love herself. Anna Veronica is Jesus' girl now. She doesn't come from a religious home or background, but in her heart she remembers a little prayer that her mom used to sing for them at bedtime when they were little. It's a prayer that she learned from Grandma, her own mom. I am little, but I will, child of Jesus, always be. He can hear and see me too when I pray. Anna Veronica wonders how many generations it goes back. Maybe Grandma learned it from her own mom too. She knows from Grandma's poetry that she was a strong believer in Jesus, and from her own mom Anna Veronica also knows that Grandma once had a near-death experience that changed her life forever. She told her mom that she was never afraid of any other human being after that. One of Anna Veronica's friends thinks she's lucky to be able to release all this, and although she knows this to be true, it's challenging to be in the midst of it. Anna Veronica makes a video about it. There must be other people out there who are going through hard times. She often used to call their dog Jesus because of his nature, so calm and gentle and so full of unconditional love for everyone. He is 14 years and 11 days old when the day comes. He has had more seizures lately, and there is no other way. They take him to the vet. Alexander loses his best friend on earth, and his heart is torn to pieces. It is a bond of love that is understood only by those who have experienced it. The whole situation cracks open an old wound, and for hours Anna Veronica just walks and walks on the beach, crying and crying. She is broken into 1,000 pieces. When she comes back to the house, she can hardly see through her swollen eyes, and when she looks into the mirror, they are burning red like the fires that are ravaging the Amazon.